Hello, today I'm going to do a Blender tutorial on how to make a 3D monster, or creature, whatever you want to call it. So first step is probably just to delete everything. Make sure your cursor's in the center. I just click Shift S, by the way. It's probably useful. I'll tell you about the shortcuts while I'm doing this. You want to click Shift A and go to empty and do image. This is just a setup. Oh. Also, before we do this, you probably want to go to user preferences and use some of the specific add-ons. Just scroll down and look for Mesh Edit Tools 2, Mesh F2, Mesh Insert Polygon, and Mesh Loop Tools. Loop Tools will probably be especially helpful in this. Right, and you see this thing on the side, it's fairly obvious that this is just properties and stuff of what you can do. Now you want to go to this weird thing, I don't know what to call it. Open image. Also, I'll probably post the image somewhere in the description. I'll probably post in a link, and you can just click that. It'll show you the image, and you can just save the image as. So I'm just gonna go to drawings, which is the name of the file, and open it up. FYI, I'm not the artist of this. My friend is. Gave it to me so I could 3D model it. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, first you probably want to shift it into an angle where you can tell what it is. Probably want to slide it up to along the x-axis. You don't want a small 3D model, so you probably want to scale that up. Also, I'm holding control if you're wondering how I'm doing the little bump. If you're wondering how it moves along the grid like that, opposed to smoothly going along it. Oh god, cat. Sorry, my cat's being a bit of an annoyance. Oh. If you want to get this view, you press 1 on the numpad. If you don't have a numpad on your keyboard, which I did find out some don't, which I thought was weird, you'll want to go back to user preference. You'll want to go to user preferences, systems, and you should find emulate numpad if you search for a little bit. Okay, to rotate you press R. Keep forgetting to tell you what guys when I'm clicking. And control works for that as well, as you can probably see. Also, to scale from earlier, you press S. It pretty much just goes along with the words with the first letter. Okay. You want to duplicate that by pressing Shift D. Your shortcut might actually be different, so you might want to go to the tools. Lower its transparency to 3, to like about a third. Doesn't really matter, just as long as it's in that little 300s area. Turn on X-ray. And what I just did there was allowed it to, if I spawn in a cube, I'll be able to see the image through it so we can start aligning. Now you go to edit mode. You can also press tab if you want. I just have a bad habit of not using these basic shortcuts. Some of them at least. Also, this button allows you to see through it so you can see the vertices behind it. So apologize if you already know all this stuff, but for someone who just kind of is curious or new to it, I want them to understand everything. You want to delete the vertices, which I think the shortcut for that should be X, or if not X, then it would probably be the delete key. Go to modifiers and then add the mirror modifier. Just so you know, this is extremely important to always turn on clipping. Unless it messes up something that you're trying to do with the 3D model, always turn on the clipping. I used to not do that when I started, and then I learned that it was a terrible idea. So just constantly keep that in mind. Now I'm going to teach you a few very important buttons. Control R creates a loop cut. essentially allows you to add new vertices and edges. Then control, I guess I didn't actually mention what I was doing there a while ago. Control, it allows you to create this little bubble that you kind of draw with your mouse to select things. And then there's B, which is box select. Also, I believe you're also able to change. If you're wondering why left click isn't working, it's because Blender does right click. You can change then the user preferences as well. So now you kind of want to grab the vertices and kind of align it with the picture or the drawing or whatever you're 3D modeling from. Like if you want to do something else and just kind of use these instructions to figure it out, then go for it. It doesn't really matter. Okay. Probably want to make that a bit skinnier. Now here's another super important button. The button E, which stands for extrude, allows you to extrude faces, which I think you can figure out pretty quickly why it's important. Now you can use that key in order to create the tail. And you probably want to keep the bottom part flat. And you kind of have to imagine a tad bit because the tail is in a weird order in the drawing, so you kind of have to guess its overall length based off of the drawing. I've gotten pretty good at that, but then again, I've been doing this for like several years, so we're almost 3. Okay, there we go. We got the tail made. Also, I probably should have done this earlier. My mistake. Probably want to pull the vertices down so you can get kind of a... Oh. But we won't turn that on. So you can get kind of a round look on the 3D model. Because, you know, things aren't just cubes. And also, subdivision surfaces do not help round it, unless you round it yourself. It's one thing I kind of used to think. I could just be like, oh, it's kind of cubic, but I'm sure once I put a subdivision surface on, it will fix it. Well, no, that it doesn't most of the time. It will just make it look more round if it's already made that way. But chances are it won't if you just keep it cubed. Just like that. Now I probably want to boop. Yeah, I probably don't need to do that. Now, that's another problem with this drawing, is you also need to guess a lot with the head since it's angled at a different way. Same thing with the neck, you kind of just need to guess or estimate the length of the neck. I should probably... And that shortcut was 7, by the way, 7 on the numpad. Wait a minute, oh. If you want to get this top-down view. Oh, I just got a tad bit silent. Okay. That looks about right for the neck. Okay, you probably want to put a loop cut down the center now. So you can divide the head into 2 halves. It can also allow you to round the 3D model out a bit more from above, so add a bit more realism to it. Oh. And if you want to select multiple things at once in a method besides box select, you just click and hold shift. And if you want to get like the opposite view from this, you hold control then 7 or whichever direction you're wanting to look from. And voila, you have a more rounded body for the creature. So you want to select these top vertices. It's probably not the best strategy, to be honest, but I do it because I'm a bit lazy. You could try dividing the head in half if you like after. Actually, yeah, I think I'll do that instead of just build two halves. So, probably have to. A bit rusty. I've kind of been doing 3D modeling not as much as I used to. I'm getting it. Okay. You know what? You know what I said about it's just making one big one and splitting in half? Screw that. I'm just gonna. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer some if there are any. So just so you can get an open up mouth, I guess, you probably want to delete the faces. So I'll explain the difference between deleting the faces, edges, and vertices. I'll just use this little place as an example. If you click delete, well, you guess I can't delete that. If you click delete vertices, you also end up you just end up creating a massive hole. You delete everything, including the edges that's connected to, because those edges just turn into vertices. See, if you do this and click delete edges, you kind of just delete the edge, which results in losing the faces. But you also don't destroy the vertices. And if you choose to delete a face, you just delete the face. You delete everything in it that's not connected to something else, like this. And that's, so if you're 3D modeling something besides this, you know the methods if you understand what you want to delete when you want to delete something. I didn't think about that. Okay, I probably should have just deleted this upper one, because this part of the face is still actually important for something. Okay, this head is looking nothing like the creature's, but who cares? This is... Okay, I don't know where he's going with that. Sure, it'll start looking more like it once I add teeth and stuff, and get that little chin spike. I think I'll add the chin spike. So I'll have to grab this face, it'll look a bit retarded, but Ooh. Oh god. Yeah, I was right about that. Oh, that looks so stupid. I'm just gonna keep it like that, because it's great. Also, I think I'll start making the leg now. The legs. You probably want to, like, kind of align the vertices. Like, I have a bit of a habit of adding way too many vertices. But yeah, you want to mess with the vertices a tad bit to kind of shape them similar to the leg. Not exactly, because you don't want to mess up the roundness of your of your monster based off of that. But I'd say, probably, yeah, I'll just, grab, make this the part that's going to turn into the leg jutting out a bit larger. So it looks a bit more realistic. You just want to enter E, extrude outward like that. Looks a bit weird. Yeah, and this, there's only going to be 3D modeling. I'll probably do more tutorials later over texturing it and maybe even sculpting. I'm not very good at sculpting yet. I'm not sure if it's just a lack of experience or I'm just not really as good as it. That was weirdly worded. Okay, now you want to grab this face. And I want to E. And you also want to maybe stretch them out a bit so it looks a bit more real. Also, if you're like, I don't care about it being real, I want to make something cartoony. Even like The Incredibles have some human or realistic physical characteristics. Because they kind of need that to, I don't know, it's weird to explain, but a lot of times photorealism can be a gateway to more cartoony art, I guess you can say, opposed to being something you can just flat out start with. Andrew Price, or Blender Guru, explains it better in his video about photorealism, which I strongly recommend. He's the guy who taught me how to texture and all that. So, of course, I'll recommend stuff from him. Also, pay attention to the X length. If it like begins to look like this, that's not what a leg looks like at all, as you can probably assume. Especially once you get to the feet, you really want to start upping that, upping that x-axis length a tad bit, because the feet are quite wide. So look a bit weird if they're too skinny. Like human feet, even they get a tad bit wider, I guess you can say. I'm not exactly sure to describe it. Oh, wrong button. Oh yeah, another thing that I probably should mention towards the beginning, because it probably messed a lot of people up, is you may notice it's not, you might notice that it's not looking flat like this. You don't just see the grid like that. See, that's probably because you might have misclicked 5, or maybe it starts that way, but if you click 5, it kind of goes to this mode where it doesn't actually get into that really flat state. So it's kind of misaligned. So to go back, you just press 5. And voila. It should be good now. I was always bad at making these kinds of toes. So if you want to flatten out something completely, more specifically like a face, you literally just want to like S, Z, or whatever angle it's at. If you just want it to be completely flat from where you're looking at it, then just 0. And it won't actually affect the size of the thing, but it will affect the angle. Hmm. Crap, I pressed 5. Hmm. I'm sorry for the bit of silence. Sometimes I get a bit concentrated. I'm sure you guys can probably understand. Oh, why do I keep pressing 4? I'm gonna just look at some actual toes like this guy's, because I'm a bit curious about the length of everything. So I'll just look up an elephant foot. You should always, if you're curious about the proportions, like when making a human character, I always just compare the proportions to myself and made some basic rules on how it's structured. So you could probably do that with other animals if you want to compare this creature to them. It's not really like an elephant. It's not really similar to an elephant's foot at all. But I think the middle toe would probably be the longest one. So I'll just go based off of why do I keep I'll just go based off of those rules. I think this is about to look really stupid, but actually it looks alright. Now I'll probably start rounding it out. Oh, I need to. So one thing you should always note when rounding out the feet is that it's not mirrored like the other side. So you'll probably need to do it both times. So you need to round out both sides manually. I think out of the entirety of how long I've been 3D modeling, I think I've only 3D modeled one thing that didn't use a mirror modifier, and it was one of the most difficult and tedious things I've ever done. And that 3D model is the one that's on my profile banner. The really big one. Which reminds me how I need to edit the profile banner a tad bit so you can see more of what's happening because the creature's face is cut off. Now I call that creature Typhon. Like based off the Greek myth of based off of that Greek mythical creature called like the father. I think it was like Father King of all monsters. In the little stories in my head, I usually use Typhon as a creature. Though I usually put my own little twist on it, as you could probably tell from the creature. You know. If you're wondering what the other profile thing is, my profile picture, it's a my personal version of a Wendigo that I made a few months ago. I think in January. I'm not sure when I made it, now that I think about it. Also, the textured version, where I texture this, I'll probably put up rigging first, because I usually have a way of getting realistic textures. The maps, if you don't know what the maps are, they're essentially specialized textures made to add realism to whatever you're creating. Like a normal map essentially just allows you to add bump without actually bumping it or modeling it yourself, because that would take too long. Okay, I see the feet just look really, really stupid because of their length, so I'm just gonna whiten other parts of it. Oh, forgot that was on. Okay, that looks a bit better. I just realized I haven't saved this entire time. I'll just name this tutorial. I'll just save it to this. I don't really care. I already have a full-fledged 3D model of this thing that I think will look, from what I've seen so far of how this is going, the one I made a while back would probably look better. But who knows, it's just begun. So now we gotta make the other leg. Oh. Yeah, taking up about this much of the body to create the leg will probably look better, but this one I didn't want to mess with the vertices too much, as being a bit careful. So it's probably going to end up looking a bit strange. I'm sure it'll look fine. Oh god. Actually, yeah, the widening of the chest there probably is a somewhat realistic design choice, I guess. Oh god. I believe the front feet, no, they're not larger, but they tend to... Hey, I don't know. I don't know where he's going with that. I thought I knew what I was saying, but I guess I didn't. Actually, I hate adding extra vertices. It usually makes it uselessly complex. Like, I kind of have to do this. Oh, wrong direction. Kind of have to do this, but it looks a bit ugly for me to have this much stuff. I feel like I could do it in less. There's probably a way to do it, but I guess it's too late now. Okay, I just realized, how long have I been recording? Who cares? I'll probably just maybe break it into a part 1 and 2 if need be. Okay, this looks fine to me. I should probably... Gosh, sometimes keep in mind, a lot of times the drawing isn't very good. Or maybe just a lot of times the drawing or picture, whatever you're 3D modeling with, isn't very good for 3D modeling, which can result in making some mistakes. So I notice I make some mistakes when doing this and have to fix them. Like the feet are better if they're kind of just flat on the ground like this, because it makes it to where rigging you can kind of make it a bit more realistic, I guess. Also, if you don't know what rigging is, it's making a skeleton for the creature that allows you to move it around, but only certain portions. Like if you put some... So like if you rig this 3D model, you'll be able to make it move its tail without, without, grabbing this massive chunk and then, just rotating it. That's essentially what it will allow you to do. So also, I don't think I ever mentioned why the texturing portion of this will probably be kind of late. Because I usually have some sort of system to get those maps. Like as I was mentioning earlier, like normal maps. There's also roughness maps, which allow you to just control the specularity of it. See, I used to have methods of getting those, but then for some reason all the methods I had just stopped working. Like, I used to use Crazy Bump, but then Crazy Bump no longer was free. So I was like, oh, that's a bit disheartening. So then I just looked up another way to get those textures, and that worked for a while. And then suddenly that method of working just stopped, and I was like, oh. And then I searched for another method that worked, and I couldn't find anything that got me the maps I needed. So you know any place where I could get or create my own maps for textures? Please tell me. I need it. Oh. Okay, so we pretty much got the feet or the legs done. Looks a bit weird. But you know, I guess I'm not perfect. Pfft, I didn't mean to click E. What I wanted to do was scale this up a tad bit so it like overlaps the bottom jaw. Also, it's a bit short for the head. The head will usually bump up a tad bit. If you have like a dog, you can probably use them to figure out the proportions of a quadruped skull. Maybe a cat. My cat in front of me, it might actually help. Okay, Chris. Oh, I just popped my neck. That felt great. Okay, I see he's not helping. I guess I'll add some of these crystals or whatever they are on top of his head. They seem to like kind of I'm gonna pull this up and then rotate it because they kind of stretch out the back if you look. Then you so 1, 2, 3. Then you kind of want to divide this. Oh god. Glad I got everything rounded beforehand. So, something I probably should have done earlier was add a subdivision surface. This isn't really gonna help yet, but it can kind of give you a view of the model while it has more polys in it. So looking pretty decent in everything but the head isn't complete either. Hey, and that rotation so I could get the crystals to point out the back actually made the head look more realistic. That wasn't even my intention. Now, we're just going to get the basic model out of the way. I don't really want to add more things. I'll add one. And then I'll turn off clipping in order to do these crystals right here. There's spikes. Because see, this really big one is right in the middle, which means I can just use the mirror modifier to get a really big version of it. So I can mix two things instead of creating another one of these really big loop cuts. So first I just have to boop. This is a tiny one. Probably wanna okay, that looks a bit weird. I think I'll go to this. This allows you to orientate. Like, this is just the global version, which is how it relates to the world around it. So we'll just go, you know, that's the actual z-axis. But if you change it to, I think, normal, it will move based off of the positioning of the face. So I can move this up and move this down in a way that orientates it according to the model, so it doesn't look like I just makes things easier. That's pretty much what I'm saying. Oh. Pfft. Oh crap, I forgot to do that. So I'm gonna turn off clipping. Which I said that was a bad idea, but in this case I kind of have to. Maybe not have to, but it will make things better so I can get these double spikes, these tall skinny double spikes, without merging them into one big spike. See, now this one in the middle, I'm just gonna increase its size. Also, you kind of have to do this. And now now I'll just do that. Forgot to turn clipping back on. Now you want to turn clipping back on. So the sides, so you can merge the faces together. That didn't do this last time I created the model, but it's fine. Probably won't turn it back to global. I don't really need that special orientation anymore. Oh. There we go. And yeah, it looks about right. So we got those crystals made. I should probably push these more inward. So I think that will make it represent the drawing a bit more. Drawing. I keep saying drawing. It's about 12:19. Yeah, I'll complete it. I still have like 3 hours before my parents get home. I'm gonna try the other method, another method of creating eyes. I was about to create a whole new cut and 3D model with that. See, what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna E, and I'm gonna shrink this down. And try not to mess with the geometry that much. Then I'm gonna X and take out the faces, and now I got an eye. It's not going to be exactly like the eye in the drawing, but drawing. I keep saying drawing. I'll just shrink that down a tad bit. So we got kind of an eye now. Looking pretty. I just realized I still need to add these spikes. Still a lot of work to do. So now I'm gonna start making these Okay. I'm gonna start making these back spikes. Or what are they? They're not spikes, they're like fins. Like really weird fins. I'm gonna make these back fins. It doesn't sound stupid. I'm not. And this is gonna be pretty minimalistic. I'm feeling a bit lazy. Forgot to shrink this down. Oh, pff. Now one more little back fin. Still not sure about what to call them. Oh god. I'll just create a little loop cut here. There we go. Now we're gonna make the back, not the back ones, the middle ones. So, right, they seem to pop up everywhere the back spikes don't. I think this is about my third time making this 3D model. Because, back when it was first made, which was I first started learning 3D modeling in middle school, I asked my friends for some drawings, and drawings that I need to get over that. It's frustrating me. Some drawings. I was just learning 3D modeling, so this is like the third or fourth thing I've ever made in 3D modeling. This is still the original picture as well that I just got scanned in. Like the third or fourth one I made, and I was like, I was pretty garbage back then. I'm still kind of am, but I'm better garbage. I'm like that Dorito bag that you kind of just threw in the trash but never finished, but it's not really dirty, but you're not going to eat it because you put it in the trash. That's how I am currently. I was quite garbage back then. I didn't know to use clipping, so I ended up having this problem where like the back looked really weird. There's like always this weird inward bump that didn't look good at all. And I never really realized what it was until I tried. I was like, oh, clipping, what is that? And I turned it on, I was like, oh, this solves all my problems. And then this year, I was like, I remember making that the first time and enjoying myself. And then checking out the old blend file that I had of it, I felt a bit disappointed because I was like, it looks bad. So then I ended up just making a whole new one. What the heck happened here? What the? It's not. Maybe I pressed E on accident. Yeah, I guess I did. Oh my god. I see that one of my friends renamed their username to Star Platinum. If any of you guys get that reference. I need to figure out who that is. Give me a sec. Apologize, but I am determined to figure out who turned their name into Star Platinum. There they are. Okay, so it's no one I messaged. Okay, you know what? I'm wasting time. I apologize. So I pretty much got all the back fins made. They're looking alright, I guess. So now I'll make the last two things for this. Well, actually I need to, sorry. Forgot about this part. And I also keep forgetting about the other strategy I showed you when making the eye, which saves loop cuts. Just having a bunch of loop cuts doesn't usually look very good. It was a simple mistake, so I can just boop E, shrink down, scroll down, E, shrink, and voila. Oh. Well, I see that made a weird look, but I can just... Oh, here's another shortcut. If you want to just select a whole object, well, selecting the whole object is controllable, but you want to select a specific object, you can just click a spot of it and then just Control plus on the numpad, and then you can just make it kind of spread like a selection virus. Just boop and it will just spread. Unless if you like want to select specific things out of here, like if I wanted to select these two spikes like I just did, I could do that. Like I just did. Okay, now go to object mode. This is something you probably want to have being a separate object. Shift A, UV sphere. Want to shrink that down. You want to probably put a mirror modifier on it. And don't have clipping on. Oh. Oh yeah, that's the problem. If you're wondering why I didn't spread out in object mode, that's because the object mode, that's the object itself. But if you go to edit mode, you're selecting the mirrored object instead of the whole thing. Okay, so now you want to also always go to object mode when moving it around. You want to move it around as a whole. If you do in edit mode, then you're going to mess with the center point, which can create problems later down the line. You probably want to do that. Shrink it down. I guess just SY. I guess that should work. And then you kind of got an eye there. Now I'll probably just actually edit the 3D model a tad bit. So it kind of closes in the eyes. Oh, but then there's that problem. I think a solidify modifier will help. Now you probably want to... Also, one other thing 5 allows... 5, remember that? Kind of messes with your screen. If you want to go inside the 3D model to 3D model something inside of it, you can use that. And I just realized I never deleted this. Actually, I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to click it, and then scroll it down. Just what I went inside the mouth to do. So you could do this, so you can get a little flat area, which will be good so if you're looking inside of it, you can't see the eyes, though that will only work on this top part. So just a little trick. This isn't something I use super often in 3D modeling, but still use a lot. So it's called making your own faces and vertices. So let me see. So I want to add 3 vertices. Now, if you grab onto 2 vertices, or even edges, actually in this case I'll do edges, and press F, it'll connect them and create a face. Oh, wait. Now I got this little portion. Oop. Oh. Now, well, you kind of got this little mouth area. And now, I'll also make this a separate object. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Boop. Now I'll also make this a separate object. Remember Shift S. Control S is saving. Shift Oh wait, that's Shift A. Shift S, and then if you want your cursor to be in the center, also that cursor is where the stuff will spawn. If you didn't figure that out already. So you probably want that in the middle so you can proportionally make it go in half. And you want to make a torus. And this will be the gums and teeth. I'll go to edit mode. Delete the vertices. Then you want to delete the other half vertices, and then you want to add a mirror modifier. You probably want to add clipping as well. And now you kind of just want to shrink it down. And then you want to put it in the mouth. Actually, I'm going to see something. Can I add transparency? I guess I'll just give this thing X-ray. Transparency and X-ray? Could the GAT do something? Okay, you know what? X-ray is not very good. Because X-ray will flat out just block your vision. Also, if you want to get this little loop select, you just hold Alt and then select. I think it's a bit... probably don't want to do some of the stuff I'm doing with it. But I'm still going to do it. So now what you want to do is you want to 3D model a tooth. You probably want that. I'll just turn off clipping real quick so I can properly remove the cubes. Now you want to make a tooth out of these cubes. Now you kind of want to boop, and you want to shrink it down. Probably want to pull it back a tad bit as well so you can get some very sharp teeth. Maybe even oh, I just click 3. Then you wanna... Why do I keep pressing 4? It's annoying me. Control plus. Just select the individual object. Okay, I'm just gonna... Just so it doesn't get in my way, I'm just gonna hide the 3D model. You do that by pressing H. Now Shift D, which should duplicate it. So if you want, you could probably make a variety of teeth. Like just make a couple different ones and kind of make them alternate. That's definitely an option if you're feeling extra creative or have some spare time, or just, enjoying this so much you want to 3D model a bit more. Shift D. Shift D. Now you got a very large amount of teeth. Now, if you want to unhide things, you can go over here and just click that, or just click Alt H, and it will but Alt H will unhide everything, which you might not want. So I'll just do a trick that I do that is just to be lazy, but So now I'm gonna duplicate the object. I'm gonna S Z -1, and then I get some teeth. Probably want to merge the gums with the gums in here a tad bit. And something to note is that the top teeth will almost always be ahead of the bottom ones. In nature, at least. You could probably tell just based off how your teeth are in front of your back ones. And voila, you've completely 3D modeled your own little dude. Your own little creature. Also, if you're a bit too lazy to wait for me to post a video on rigging or texturing, don't be scared to just go find someone else. Like Andrew, Blender Guru, his videos on photorealism are actually quite helpful on learning to make the textures on the sky look really realistic, if that's what you're desiring. And I unfortunately don't have any recommendations for UV unwrapping or rigging. And if you have any questions, post them in the comments, and thanks for watching.